The estimations in terms of numbers are around 250,000 child soldiers in the world.
I met an almost 12 years old girl, and that girl has a child. And when I was asking, who is the father of this baby? And she was telling me, I don't know. I suggest her to have HIV test, and when she went to test, she tested positive.
Children are dying from malaria because the mosquito net, that is something very simple for a humanitarian organization to provide to them, doesn't reach their village because there's a rebel group who will not allow access to the service provider to bring that net to that village, so the child won't die from malaria.
Tens of millions of children don't have access to education because of conflict. So this is a serious problem.
A young man who I met in northern Uganda who was playing in his home with his friend at one point, and the LRA came into his house, took both of them by force, abducted them, and then as they were going toward the camp, his friend twisted his ankle and fell. So he watched as they just shot and killed his friend.
What they see is gruesome, what they see is appalling, what they see is just the worst of the worst. If you brutalize children, you perpetuate conflict.
Watchlist is a global network of local, national and international non-governmental organizations. We work together and we strategically collect and disseminate information about the violations perpetrated against children in situations of armed conflict.
It works in partnership with many operational agencies, humanitarian agencies, human rights agencies in country or at the global level. It's known, it's respected, and it will continue to bring truth to decision makers.
Watchlist is basically the platform for advocacy on children and armed conflict, primarily to the Security Council, but also to other fora like the General Assembly, for instance.
They have access to information that's absolutely crucial, both for the UN system in its work with the Security Council, but also generally raise awareness about these issues.
They lend their time, their expertise, to really digging into the matters, putting it all together, articulating it, making it understood, and then they will work on these issues in a sustained way.
Watchlist draft country-specific reports in connection with the agenda of the working group. And very often there are information in this report that we were not aware of.
We believe it is very important that whenever the Security Council and its working group on children in armed conflict is discussing a particular country, that we are able to bring people to New York and organize a briefing session for these diplomats, that they can meet with these people themselves and ask them direct questions.
So they can maybe better understand what is happening in the field in order to really equip them to take better decisions that are enforceable and those decisions that really will affect the lives of millions of children and communities as well.
Watchlist Capacity Strengthening Program supports those local actors that monitor these violations taking place in their different countries, but they also provide programs in case that some of the victims need some direct assistance and support.
With the Watchlist, we have developed an immediate response mechanism. For example, that child, that girl, once she's raped, what do you do for her? You take her to the hospital. The treatment of the victim is very much needed, but also how locally the victims are able to receive justice.
We represent the children, their families, and the affected communities through their local grassroots organizations that we try to put in touch with the global policymakers.
Watchlist offers a complementary and very helpful contribution to the working group in order to better inform it through their own channels of information coming from the field and through their own perspective. They are the only one to play this role.
We can be fully independent and we can really just talk about the essence, which is the violation that is taking place and the action which must be taken to address that violation.
Awareness combined with suggestions on what to do is empowering, and I think that's what Watchlist brings to this.
I have seen enormous change in terms of children in armed conflict since the beginning of Watchlist in 2001.
20,000 children have been released during the last 2 years. So this is something that has to be said and known.
We went from those victims or witnesses being not really very open to talk about any of these violations to now everyone want to report. because they have seen the benefit of it.
By changing the world for children, you will change the world for yourself. You will have a more peaceful and stable and secure world.
All children, if they're given the right possibilities and the right help and assistance, can become leaders of the future with a special wisdom, because those who suffer terribly like that sometimes carry a special wisdom with them.
There are still too many children that currently are active as child soldiers. There are still too many girls that are being raped. There are attacks on schools and hospitals, and so many children in conflict countries that cannot have an education because their school has been destroyed or their teacher has been killed. There's an enormous amount of work that still needs to be done, but let's talk again 10 years from now and let's see the progress that we've made at that point.